Happy third day of Vlogmas. Happy 3rd of December. As you can see, I failed to film during the day, and now I'm waiting for 30 minutes more for my daughter to end her theatrical class. So I have a little bit time to talk to you in the car, and I decided that I want to talk today about Victober. I wear my Victober sweatshirt, very cozy, but a little bit too roomy for me. Why October? Why Victober? Victober, if you don't know, it's a month-long readathon during October about reading Victorian literature. I participated. I even filmed a video about my TBR, and I failed to post it because the day that it was scheduled to post, there was a huge bombing on Ukraine, and I got absolutely devastated, and I just can't understand how can I post a video without addressing this, because this was like the main thing in my life. So I just cancelled all videos and prayed for my parents to be safe until I bring them here. And I participated actually in Victober. I don't think that I did any prompts, but I will tell you about few wonderful books that I've read, and will show a few books that maybe one book that I, let's say, failed to read. So the first book that I've read was North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is my first Gaskell. It definitely will not be the last. I listened to it as an audiobook written by Julia Stevenson, I think. Wonderful, wonderful narrator. I put her name on the screen. I liked this book, though I can't say that I liked it more than any other Victorian writers. I like the pacing. I liked the social studies in this book. It was very interesting to read about the strike and about factory workers. This is my first, let's say, industrial novel, and it was very, very interesting, this comparison of rural and industrial city life. This was my favorite part. I did not like the main protagonist, the main heroine, and I hated love like duo. I really think that these two people do not belong together, and it will be better for both of them to stay apart. So I just couldn't. It was not for me. Though I really liked this novel as a whole a lot, but I am trying to pretend that I forget this is a love story. Still 5 star, well, 4.5, 5 stars. The main heroine annoyed me a lot during the novel, and her father, like, crucial decision at the beginning of the novel also annoyed me a lot. Her poor mother, I just can't. I felt for her, and she was definitely not my favorite heroine, but I feel like my heart ached for her during the whole her life in this novel. Yeah, I liked it. I will definitely read more Elizabeth Gaskell. Thank you for introducing this to me. Kate Howe recommended this in her videos, and I know this is one of her favorite Victorian authors, and I took a hint, liked it, didn't love it, but still very enjoyable. The highlight of the month was Wilkie Collins' The Woman in White. I have no idea how I failed to read it up to this day, because I remember this, well, in Russian, this book standing on my mother's shelf for many years during my childhood. I can say that I liked Moonstone a little bit better than Woman in the White, but still it was very enjoyable. I think it was a mystery novel, but also it was like a suspensional gothic novel. There is my absolutely favorite villain in here. Sir Percival Glyde is like the star of the book. I liked him, like, not liked, he is a villain, but he is such a great villain. That's what I think, the thing in Victorian literature, they produced the best villains, like the best. You can't compare them to anyone. So yeah, I liked it very much. This is the story of two sisters and one poor artist teacher who fall victims of much intrigues and false terrible things happening in this book. As many modern readers, I was a little bit annoyed about women portrayed in here, though there is like one fair, very feminine, very tender girl, and of course she will have, spoiler alert, bright future with money and loving husband. And there is this fierce and protective sister who of course will have nothing and will need, like, she will live with this another sister for the whole life, being like an old auntie. This annoyed me, but still I do think it was enjoyable. It was very suspenseful. Again, the best villain in the whole, like, all books I've read. Liked it. Make me want to read more Wilkie Collins, though I know that now I read to his most famous works and have no idea what to read next. So yeah, but still it was a highlight. It was 5 stars and I liked it very, very, very much. Then was not a flop. This is a peculiar book. This is one of my childhood favorites. It's very not popular novel. I bought this second-hand, very old edition, and I barely could find it in shops, even in second-hand shops. This is Lady Jane by Mrs. C.V. Jamieson. This is a story taking place during Victorian era, but in New Orleans. This is like typical sentimental Victorian girl story. Think like Secret Garden, Little Princess, all this stuff. When I was young in 90s, after perestroika in USSR, when 90s was a struggle for many families, for my family too, and for business as a whole. But there was one new bright and shiny publishing house in my own city, Odessa, who they began to publish like English and American classics books. Enid Blyton, Pollyanna, End of Green Gables, that kind of stuff. That was not published in USSR before. And one of these books was Lady Jane. And I loved it. These sentimental, sweet, tragic stories speak to me when I was like 10. I was that kind of girl. And so this is a story, it begins in a train where Lady Jane, years like 5 or 6, is with her mother. Her mother is very, very ill. And they meet this young boy, like 16, 15 years old, who just caught a bird. And he took this bird with him and he gave this bird as a present to Miss Jane, to Lady Jane. Nobody knows that they are arriving in New Orleans. The boy went from train and went away, and the girl and her mother begin wandering the streets, trying to reach their friends who are not aware that they are coming. And her mother became very ill on the streets, were taken of like the not very good and pleasant and honest woman took them to her house. Mother died in there, and then this woman just took Lady Jane to work with her and to beg on the streets and that kind of stuff. There is a huge area, like a lot of characters, all very Victorian. It's interesting book for a kid because I think it's a Dickens for small young kids, but it's too sweet and too sentimental for me right now. It was actually I wasn't glad that I reread it. It was a sweet childhood memory, but this book is not as good as I remember it. So I can't say that I recommend it, but maybe if you need something overly sweet and Victorian, like very Victorian, this is the book for you. There will be a happy end for this girl who has a wonderful voice and will sing on the streets and in different houses and make a lot of friends. And she will have this bird with her, which also will play like the most important part in her life. And yeah, I don't know. I can't recommend it, but it's still very sweet memory, childhood memory for me. So yeah, I didn't give here a rating because I just don't want to. So yeah, that was it. And also I've bought this huge book, Victorian Mysteries, the big book of Victorian Mysteries, edited and with introduction by Otto Penzler. I've read 2 stories from here. I've read Levison's Victim by E.M.E. Braddon and Hunted Down by Charles Dickens. I was not blown away by any of this, but still I do think that this is a wonderful book, very, very atmospheric, and a huge one. And there are a lot of well-known names in here, and I do think it can be a wonderful, absolutely wonderful present, Christmas present to the people in your life who like criminal stories, because it's like vintage, it's very atmospheric, it's very gothic, it's very Victorian, and I'll tell you who are here. So there are detective stories, there are crime stories, there are international stories with French, Spanish, and even Leo Tolstoy, like a Russian author. And there are also American stories with Edgar Allan Poe, Mark Twain, Frank Stockton, and Frank Baum, and a lot more. Highly recommend this book, but I can't say that this was a highlight of my reading October. Still, I have no idea about prompts, but I celebrated Victober, definitely. I like Victorian literature. I like this pattern of reading it every October, and it was very calming for my nerves during terrible October I had this year. So thank you for everyone who did Victober for us on the booktube. I will mark all people down below, the host of Victober. And again, I've bought this. I now want to celebrate every Victober for many years. And I hope that you enjoyed this very chaotic, and sorry for this terrible lighting, but I think you can see me and you can see books, so whatever. No makeup, messy hair, terrible lighting. Yay, mom's life, 3rd day of December. I almost told October. So it's October in December, and I hope to see you tomorrow in my 4th day of Vlogmas. Bye. Hi, it's me again. I forgot to tell you why I wanted to do a Victober video today, because last week I took part in this wonderful event taking place in Bay Area, San Francisco, called Dickens Christmas Fair. This is a yearly Christmas event. It takes place in December, where people pretend they live in Victorian London. They impersonate different Dickens characters, dress themselves in Victorian dresses, and there is huge pavilion which is decorated as to be Victorian city, with different corners from, like streets for higher end people, with shops, with you can buy Victorian dresses there and bonnets and ancient books, not ancient, you know, antiquities. And there is like a dogs where street urchins lives, and they play tricks on you. My daughter made like my daughter there was a man who was like a sea captain or something, and he gave my daughter his parrot to sit on her arm. There is a children's section, kids section, where you can ride an old carousel and you can do fairy gardens. I'll show you in a minute what we've done. And you can buy some sweets that has to be like old Victorian. There are of course strange things, like we bought wand, like magic wand from Harry Potter, though I understand that Harry Potter and Victorian London is as far away as possible, but still. And I made this quick video about it, like 4 minutes. So yeah, come with me to this Dickens Christmas Fair and have fun. And if you are in Bay Area, or maybe you're traveling for Christmas, they are every weekend until 18th, I think. I highly recommend to anyone who is fairly interested in Victorian London. This has to be on your bucket list, because it's just wonderful, really atmospheric event where everyone, even people who just come and see, they try to play their part in this game. And I really enjoy. There is caroling, there is dancing, there is some liquor, and also this year they had a quest. There was Sherlock Holmes who gave clues, and my daughter took part in it. And there were really like a mystery with some clues that you can uncover, and it was fairly hard. I had a hard time helping her, so it was really on a higher level of organization. I highly recommend. It's wonderful. So yeah, there will be this video about this fair. Bye.
first thing we've got. The second, you must find for us, Megan.
A boy, eh? So it is a battle job! Never you mind what kind of job it is. We need a
hat was off before he opened the door, as comfortable you too. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.